Okay, as you can see, we went foraging yesterday, and as you can see, I got my chanterelles that I did get. Sometimes you don't always get what you want. It wasn't like last year, I didn't get a big haul. So as you can see, I have them air drying on this net, and if you don't know anything about air drying your fungi, that's one of the ways you can cure it. If you have to do like I'm fixing to do, I grind it up into a smaller amount so I can use it for soup stock. That gives me the ability to store it and transport it. And what I want to do today is talk to you guys out there, cows, about a few ways to, well, prepare your fungi, shrooms, herbs. If you're from the old school like I am, we just call them herbs, because we consider them plants. But I guess what I'll do is start off with the most basic way to do this, and go over a couple of the items that I have here. First off, I'd like to introduce you to this little specimen. I'm in the Ozarks, which is the northern central part of the Ozarks here in Missouri. This right here is what we call a lucky herb. Some groups of people I have spoke to refer to call this a Rishi, Lingzi, lucky herb, Glossy Ganaderma. This has been traditionally used for a long time for fertility and to enhance your spirit, which is probably the same thing. But as you notice, it's glossy, stiff, and you're like, well, hey Glenn, how would I use that? Well, first of all, if you notice, it's not like your typical mushroom. It's not mushy. This thing has it sticks around for a while, has resiliency, and there's a couple things that we like to do here where I'm at. When we use this, what we do is we inoculate. Inoculation is where you go and you take portions of this, basically to, well, you're kind of like you're planting it again. Take a portion of it, and you find places that similar to where it would grow, and you can toss it there. I usually score portions of bark on trees, preferably oak. This is what it likes, that I've noticed. And I take spore portions, and basically what I'm doing is seeding for the future. I take a portion of it and I give it back. The rest of it, what I do is I grind this up and I make tea out of it. Okay? But as you notice, it's not your typical mushroom. It's pretty stiff. It has resiliency. It's not here today, gone tomorrow. That's a good sign. That means it has probably more mineral content. Then you have another Ganaderma. Not, used to one of these. The top of it is sporulated. You notice it comes off of my hand, looks like cinnamon. We grind these up, smash them up, basically, and then we stew these kind of like tea. You would drink this like tea, or you would add it as a food additive in your soup stock. So we have that. Like I said, we have this. Now, here's another method that I like. And here I have Trametes versicolor. Trametes versicolor is basically called turkey tail. I use a netted or mesh bag, and if you don't know how to make one of these or procure one of these, then I would suggest that you learn real quick how to crochet. But what you do is, I take these. A lot of times you can find these already dried out, depending on the environment. If they're already dry, that's good for you. You don't have to sun dry these. That's another method of storing so they don't spoil. And I do like this. Knocks all the dirt off of it. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to basically clean this up enough to where you don't have a lot of granules. So I just roll it through my fingers like this. And as you notice, the bag, because it's got holes in it, lets all the spores and the dirt and the particles that you don't want fall back into the ground. Now, if you live in the city, you can probably get these from, this right here, I believe, how did I get this? Oh yeah, this is one of those people who play golf. You know anybody that plays golf? I tore the tags off it. Yeah, now I remember. Where I live at, some people like to play golf. I don't know why. I'm not really. I think it's kind of a dumb game. But, and there's these bags all over the place. And so, I pull the tags off, I clean them up, and I use them for basically a gleaning bag. And so when I get my shrooms, my fungi, my plant material, whatever else, I hang this on a tree limb somewhere in the sun, and what happens is it dries out. You can eat these raw. I do it all the time. But if you roll them like this, it gets rid of the unwanted particles, the dirt, things like that. But that's one way to, we call this basically a dry good. At this point, back in the day, we call these dry goods. Today, you would call this a drug. But drying out your plant material for shipping or storage or transport for, over a distance of time, so it wouldn't spoil, was pretty traditional. Especially if you're trying to get rid of some of the undesirable. Some of these fungi actually have toxins on them when they're in their prime, and it keeps you from, But if you dry it out, then they become more tolerable, and all you're getting is the mineral content and some of the other vital essentials out of the plant material. Like I said, I do consider these a plant. So if you hang these in the sun, they dry out, and every once in a while I'll just come by and do this. Then you'll get it to a point where you got storage. You can use them, over a distance of time. Okay, that's one way. As you can see in my gleaning bowl here, here's another way to do it. You can set this out in the sun. Now right here in this bowl I have Steria austratus, of course. Good old Stereus, the most common fungi I've ever seen here in Missouri. And what I usually do is I just take it with my hand, grind it up like this. It gets all the undesirable, particulates off of it, dirt, things like that. Just keep rolling it through your hands. This is stuff you can play with. Okay? I keep telling everybody, nature's kind of a hands-on thing. It's not something you go, no, I don't want to look at, you don't look at it. You put your hands in it. Come on now. Feel the love. Alright, so let's go through here. You leave this out in the sun. It will basically dry a little bit better so you can keep it long term. Or use it for a soup stock. And as you add it to a soup stock, it will reconstitute. But when you do it like this, pull this matter up here, and all the unwanted particulates, whatever you want to call that, portions, the dirt, things like that that you don't want, if you don't like eating sand, goes into the bottom, and then you just dump it. So that's what I'm saying. This is pretty atypical for old school. Get your bowl, put it in there, run it through your hands a few times, knock all the undesirables off. It'll dry out. Pull it back like this. There you go. Then you have the other option. you can take a meshed netted bag. Okay, have a netted bag. Some people call this a laundry bag. But I recommend getting one of these anyway, preferably in something that's low key as far as the color scheme goes. And you can lay this out in the sun, and plus, like I said, it serves other purposes. And this will air out your fungi. As you can see, I have chanterelles on here. And yes, it looks ugly, but not everything that's ugly is bad. You lay this in the sun, gives air up underneath of it, it'll dry out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind these up. I can either crush them with my hands, it'll crunch up eventually. And then I'll have it in this jar and I'll add it as soup stock. But as you can see, I have a Pleurotus austrui, a type of Pleurotus. This is not a typical Pleurotus austriatus. Then we have our peppery milky right here. And then I have the chanterelle lateritarius. If I said that right, I usually get it wrong. But what I usually do is, I know these are edible, I know these are beneficial. I lay them out in the sun so they can aerate. And as they dry out, that gives me some other options. That gives me transport. That gives me the ability to crush them up into powder. And I could use this as a stew or a tea. It gives me minerals, basically, and a whole slew of other options. But if you're looking for an easy, simple way to prepare these, store them, get all the basically dirt and all the undesirable parts off of it, that's pretty much how I do it. I just crush them, run them through my hands, and it knocks all the dirt off. Dries them out. Air drying is a pretty much a traditional way of preparing your fungi. And like I said, there's a couple ways you can do it. Like I said, the bowl thing works pretty good. Just pull it down like that. You got a really decent mesh bag. That knocks all the dirt and stuff out of it once it air dries. And then you can grind these up further or pulverize them, however you want to do it. You can cure these in the sun. This right here is pretty much dry already. All I have to do is break it down and pulverize it, and then make a tea out of it, pretty much. This is a Ganaderma, like I said. And for storage, like I said, I got this jar. That's pretty easy. I mean, if you don't have one of these, any kind of a container, if you're worried about debris and dirt, most of the stuff, the settlement will go to the bottom. The sediment will go to the bottom. Don't have to worry about it. This won't spoil. And once you add it to your soup stock, it'll reconstitute. It'll start to dissolve. So pretty much, as far as that goes, that's it. That's what I wanted to add to this. And like I said, there's several ways that you can prepare your fungi. And some of the fungi that you might come across, or if you're foraging like I do, a natural right of man, so you can get food, beverages, hygiene, simple shelters, or domestic, just some kind of a utility. Some of this stuff is flammable. You can use it to create fire. But I thought we'd go over that.